Okay, hey, this is Doug from Rusted Wrench Garage. If I look hot, it's because I am. We're here in Oklahoma. They say the heat index is 115, and I feel every bit of it. My garage is not insulated. I have no air conditioning. So I'm going to make this video quick because I got to get these fans back on. I couldn't run them because they were just too noisy. So we took the car out last weekend. Ran pretty good. You know, it lifted the front end. We made a lot of test passes. We raced a couple of cars and we beat them. And one of them, we'll show you the video, it looked like a pro mod, but we was able to take it too. Car ran 1040s. We was happy. That's the fastest it's went so far. So, but you know me, I can't leave nothing alone. Yeah, you can see we got the motor apart. We have pieces of this poor old car. Yeah, they're everywhere. Everywhere. Like I said, though, the car ran good. We're still spinning a little off the line, so we could give up a little bit there, but the top end is just really suffering. And if we can get a little more top end out of it, I think we'd run some better numbers. So that's what I decided to do. You know, the car ran, pulled itself back on the trailer, still ran good. You know, I tore it apart. I don't know. And maybe there's something wrong with me. So let me show you what we're going to do. I had these aluminum heads on it. These are just GM Signature Series aluminum heads. I mean, they're pretty good heads. They came mostly stock on like 502s and stuff. But they were an oval port. Well, that's supposed to be an oval port, but anyhow, but we just ain't getting a lot of flow. We looked at heads up and they kind of stopped flowing at about 5,800 RPMs. Well, we're going through the traps at 7 and maybe even a little over. So what I got is I've got these big rectangular port heads, and these are the big Brodix 3s. So we're going to stick them on there, see if we can get a little more top end. Now we're going to lose a little bit on the low end because these have, let me see if I can flip it over here. These have a smaller combustion chamber than these. So we're going to give a little bit up on the compression, but I'm hoping to make it up, you know, in the flow on the big end. So I don't know. We're going to try it and see. If it works, it works. If it don't, we'll stick the other ones back on there, or we'll decide to do something else. Well, since we did that, you know, our intake's not going to work because we used the oval port intake, and I'm sure you can see it up here. One is the Track Warrior, a Win Track Warrior. It's pretty good intake, but it's not going to work for what we want to do now. So we got this Edelbrock Victor Jr. You know, it's got the, if I can get it up here. Well, anyhow, it's got the bigger ports in it. So we're going to stick those heads, or this intake, let me close it up, we don't want dust getting in there. That intake and then Brodix heads on there. And we're going to try to run it again, see what happens. And then, well, as I start getting it together, you know, we'll put a few video clips in there or something. Like I said, I'd film me putting that together, but if you can see, I'm sweating. I mean, it's hotter than a Miley Cyrus video in here. So I'm going to have to click this off so I can get my fans turned back on, or I'm not going to get a lot done. But if you stick around, we made some runs, and I'll show you the runs. Okay, so we got the Brodix heads in. Now, we're going to go through just a few other things here just to show you. We got these stands right here. We had to remove some of them so we could get to the bolts to torque them down. We torqued these at 75 foot-pounds. Now, I've already put the stands on. They've got little roll pins in there that kind of holds them in place to where they need to go. And it says they're to be torqued at 65. So we're going to run through and torque those stands real quick. I had my torque wrench set at 60, so let's go to 65 here. And we'll run through and check all these just to make sure they're all where they need to be. That's good. 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 Okay. That side's good. Let's go check the other side here real quick. Okay. You see what I'm talking about? It's that little stud. Got some shims under here. I guess they'd already been pre-shimmed, so we're not going to mess with that. And it's got a little roll pin. That roll pin was set right inside that head. And then you put your nut in there. And make sure you get it started right. We don't want to cross thread. They have been tapped. So we're not screwing right into aluminum. Matter of fact, the Jesel website, if I'm saying that right, Jesel, or whatever, it said 60 and less. You had inserts, and it was 65. We're going to run them down there with our impact. And then we'll torque it to 65. And then we'll be ready for the next step. Okay. That's how you put the stands in. Next part I wanted to show you was how you know if you have your right rocker arm length. Now on these big blocks, the short rocker arm is going to go in the intake. The long one is going to go in the exhaust. And you can tell that by, you know, hey, look where your exhaust port is. That's the exhaust. Then you look where your intake, and that would be your intake. So then this one would be, the next one would be here's exhaust and intake. Just look where your exhaust is. It'll be lined up right with it. So, but what you want to do is mark these. You can use dye or something, but we don't have that. So I'm just using a Sharpie. We'll mark these here with a Sharpie. And get her all colored in there pretty. There. Then we'll take our rocker arm and set it down inside that shaft. Tighten these down. And our intake one. Make sure you got your push rods seated in there. So you're getting close. You don't want to mess up now. The reason we're doing this is we had to change. I've already been through this, so these are already adjusted where they're supposed to be. On my cam, it called for, I think, 24, 22, 24. And then, but that's with it hot. And then we checked it, we adjusted it at that. And then we checked the adjustment after it cooled off, and they came to 18. So that's what we set them at. The fan's going to be a little noisy, but I got to turn it on. It is hot. It hadn't warmed up. I mean, it hadn't cooled off any at all. Okay, so these are 12-point bolts that go in here, and they do have a torque on them too, guys. So, you know, we looked all this up on the Jesel website, but right now we're just going to get them snugged in there to where they're in. And okay, now we're going to crank the motor over to let both of these come up and down, and we're going to see where our mark is. So I don't know if I'm in the way, but we got all the plugs out and stuff, so it's easy to turn over with a ratchet on the harmonic balancer. Okay, the exhaust went. Here goes the intake. Okay, the intake's out. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, we're all loose. So now we can pull these back off and see what kind of mark we have on them, to see if they, because you want them, you don't want them right in too far forward or too far back. You want them right in the middle. I mean, you could fudge one way or another, but I really like getting them in the middle. But if you remember before on this motor, we had steel rockers and stud girdles. And I think this will work better because with these, you know, they're shaft, so they're more stable. You're not going to get the back and forth like this a little bit under the high RPMs. These are going to hold them a little more stable. So we don't have to use the, we won't need the stud girdles now. We're going to pull these off and check, see what it looks like. Okay, there you go. Can you see it? What do you guys think? Is it in there? I don't know. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get you in there. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to put my glasses on too. I don't know. All right. Yeah. Okay. There you see. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it looks through this camera angle. Probably because of the way I'm holding it. But from up here, there you go. I mean, that looks pretty good. It's right in the middle. So I would say that we do have the right size push rod in that thing. So, all right, well, okay, we'll go through the rocker arm adjustment. Now, I've already done these two. I thought I recorded it, but I didn't. So, let's run through it here real quick. So what we knew, we're going to adjust these two. I like to just go down the row here, do one side and be done with it. But you got to do some cranking over on the motor. So we're going to watch this. This is our exhaust, and this is our intake. Okay, so we want to crank the motor over, and as soon as we see the intake, or the exhaust, I'm sorry, just start to move down, then we can adjust our intake. So we're going to crank the motor over, and you guys watch it. Watch this right here. When it starts to go down, like I said, I've already adjusted these, but we're going to go through it. Okay, it's just starting to move down. So we are going to check the intake. And that's good. Now, if you need to adjust it, you know, you do that up here where you can adjust it. We're gapping ours at 18. And that's because the cam card said, I think it was like 24. It was the hot valve lash on it. So I've had them adjusted at 24 on the hot valve lash, and then after it cooled down, then the gap changed to 18. We checked it and it went to 18. So that way, if you do that, you get your valve lash, your hot lash set. Then once it cools down, you can check them again to find out what the cold lash is, and you'll be good to go after that. So anyhow, remember, as soon as the exhaust starts to go down, then you can adjust the intake, and it's going to work the same way on each one of them. So you want to do one cylinder at a time. Now, to adjust the exhaust, you want to watch the intake, this one right here. Watch it, and when it goes all the way down, just starts to come back up, then you can adjust the exhaust. So you watch this one here. Tell me when it starts to move. Okay, it's going down. Do you see it? It's going down. It's going down. Okay, it's just starting to come back up. Did you catch that? Now we can adjust the exhaust. Get your adjustment here, then torque it all back down. Now these studs here, you know, once you crank it up, I'll show you on this one, on this next cylinder. We want to get this up. See how it's all loose right there? There's nothing interfering. So you want to get these tightened down first. It said 32, so we're going to torque those 32. Okay. Now this, I don't want to try to torque it till I get some of the pressure off of it. So let's run it up till we get to our highest point there. Okay, it's loose. So now well, hey, my socket stayed on there. So we'll get this one torqued. 32. And it don't hurt to kind of recheck it. 32 don't seem like a lot, but it's not a very big bolt. Okay. So now we know these two are ready to adjust. All right. So remember I told you we're watching for this one to start to go down. Should be going down pretty soon. If it don't, we got a problem. Okay, starting to go down right there. So now we can adjust our intake. Take our filler gauge. Kind of do this where you can see, put it in here, and we'll turn this nut on the top until we get her down to where we want it. That's too tight. Okay. Okay. Hold, make sure you hold your filler gauge in there straight too. Okay, that's good right there. Okay, once we get that set where we want it, now we can run the jam nut back down on there. I like these because these are going to be kind of cool. Like we said, we don't have to run stud girdles with these because they're on the shaft. Keeps that thing from trying to walk back and forth at a high RPM, so I think that's going to be better. So, okay, that's the intake. Now we want to watch the intake when it goes all the way down. When the intake goes all the way down, just starts to come up. Okay, it's starting to go down. Okay, it's starting to come up. Well, that one's way loose. Now, we can do the exhaust. Make sure your push rods are in there where they need to be. Now we'll put the feeler gauge in there. Get that where we want it. It's good to use one of these feeler gauges that's got the bend in it. You can do it with a straight one, but I just found these are easier. Okay. Now we can tighten that jam nut. And try to hold your Allen head straight on there where you want it to be. Oops, hang on guys. I'm trying to get out of here before I got done. Okay. I can't remember. You was falling now. I don't remember if I tightened that. Then it don't hurt to check it again. And there you go. We'll run back through the, you just keep on going through the rest of them. When the exhaust starts to go down, you adjust the intake. When the intake goes down, just starts to come up, then you adjust the exhaust. Torque these at 32. These had a torque on it too, and we'll look that up here in a little bit, and we'll go back through them. So let me finish these up, then we'll go through the rest. Well, as you can see, we got it all together. Got the new intake on there, got the Brodix heads, got the Jesel shaft rocker arms on there. Everything's adjusted. Distributor's back in. Everything's hooked up. Headers are hooked up. These heads run at a different angle, so, you know, I hated to do it, but we had to pound the headers in just a little bit there to clear the steering. And on this side, I had to do a little bit of modification down in there because it was rubbing against the A-frame. But, yeah, other than that, I think we're all ready. I just got to get some valve cover gaskets tomorrow. We'll put the valve covers on and fire it up. If everything sounds good, then we should be ready. Make it out on the 19th to the Camaro night. They're going to have a bunch of Camaros out there. We kind of like to run in that just to see how our Camaro stacks up against the other Camaros. So we're going to try these heads, see what happens. They'll either work or they won't work. Yeah, I don't know. Time will tell. But we'll give it a run and see if that helps us on the top end any, if we can pick up a little bit more mile per hour, get through there a little quicker, because, you know, we're only like 0.4 of a second off, which is pretty fast from running 990. And that's our goal, to see if we can get this motor, this big block Chevy, That's a stock block, big block Chevy. It's been bored stroke to a 496. If we can get that thing into 990s with no power additives, that's the key. So we'll get it out to the track, and once we get some runs on it, I'll make another video and kind of let you guys know what happened. So I appreciate you watching. This is Doug with Rusted Rinse Garage. I know our subscribers is coming up a little bit. I'm trying to hit 50. I think we're like 48 or something. So if you would, and you're watching these videos and you like them, please subscribe. If there's something else you'd like to see, if they need to be longer, we need to show more of the in-depth of what we're doing, or maybe shorten them, or maybe you don't want to hear me talk. Just put a comment in there. Let me know. Let me know what you like, maybe what you don't like, and because I'm making this channel for you. All right, so this is Doug with Rusted Rinse Garage. Till then, I appreciate you watching.